Hello and welcome back to another episode of cedh Bling Builds. Today I'm coming at you with the end of the year countdown, featuring some more Dimir commanders. Now I'm a little late to the game with a Nymris deck tech, but we're going to do something interesting for today's video. We're going to feature Nymris and the new Alela, Alela Cunning Conqueror, not the Esper one. Is that the same chick? I don't know. Now why? Why are we doing two decks in one in today's video? Well, that's because both of these decks are the exact same lineup. They are the exact same deck. Both of these decks that I am featuring today are one and the same, but the commander, they do very different things. So let's look at Nymris for a moment. Nymris is a 3 and Dimir, 1/6 body, so he thick, but he's not really putting in beats. Has flash, it flies like most fairies. And whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of those cards into your hand and the other into your graveyard. If you're a scrub, you might say to yourself, oh, we're going to do Reanimator strategy. No, we're not doing fucking Reanimator strategy. We don't care. That's flavor text. In the olden days, we call this filtering. We're going to filter through our deck. We're not doing graveyard synergies. We're just simply filtering through the deck. And so we're going to run a very, very firm control shell with very few win conditions, right? Because this is not a sync. Alela is not a sync. So very few win conditions. Strict, super heavy-duty control shell. That, just like Alela, is being played at instant speed. Instant speed. Let's look at Alela for a moment. Alela is 2 in Dimir, 2 4-body, so it could swing, you know. Flies, like most fairies do. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, create a 1/1 black fairy with flying. All right. Whenever one or more fairies you control deal combat damage to a player, goad target creature that player controls. These are the same deck. We're both playing at instant speed. Why would I run one over the other? That's a very good question, young tuner. I would run Alela in a pod where, I don't know, maybe a blind pod, right? I don't know who the hell these people are, but I know for sure I'm probably going to play the 1v versus 3. I find myself doing this a lot. You know, I play a lot of 1v3s. The shit kind of sucks a lot. So I like Alela in those scenarios. Nymris, if I'm going against other cedh decks, I might play a slower Nymris deck. I think Nymris maybe got pushed out for Italian, but whatever. Nymris is just going to do like a lot of these 1-for-1 trades. You play a card, you replace the card. You play a card, you replace the card. You play a card, you replace the card, and now you're playing the 1v3, but you're keeping up with your 3 opponents. And that's the gist of it. Both of these decks are identically the same. If you pack one up to play, keep the other one right next to it, and then when you get at the table, you could be a piece of shit and decide which one you want to bring. This is more at the sweatier tables. This is at the scrubbier, high power and less tables, where you're probably going to get ganged up on by a bunch of fucking 6'6" flample bear dinosaur things. let's get into the deck tech. Well, actually, before we get into the deck tech, now let's get into the deck tech. Both these decks, same exact deck, but I will have each one's link in the description below. Since we are in Dimir, we have access to Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation. It's too simple of a win condition to leave out. Of course, with the Thoracle and the Consult, we have the Tainted Pact in our back pocket. A phenomenal tutor at instant speed. Just remember that you're restricted with this card, how you build your mana base. Everything in the deck is a one of. Everything in the deck is a one of. When you have an opponent who has been playing like a scrub the entire match, and then they Thoracle Tainted Pact specifically, make them play it out, you'll be surprised when they fucking flip 3 forests. Just saying. Let's move on to our creatures. Starting with the hate bears, we have the Dauthi Voidwalker, Opposition Agent, Orcish Bowmaster, and a Malevolent Hermit, which of course turns into a Benevolent Geist. We have Subtlety. Subtlety is pretty cool in a deck like this because Flash will trigger both your commanders. It's not just instant and sorcery, it's just spells. So that is a trigger with these Flash creatures. Because we want our commanders to stick around as long as possible, we are going to tech a Spellskite. To draw even more cards, we'll have a Fairy Mastermind, a Ledger Shredder, Battalion, the Kindly Lord, magic number is 2, and a Notion Thief. I know Notion Thief gets like finger banged by the 20 billion Orcish Bowmasters that are going to be in your opponent's decks. But it's, again, it's a Flash creature. You catch somebody off guard. They're not always going to have the Bowmaster, so maybe you get some little juicy value off of the Notion Thief. And so I like the Notion Thief still. I don't have like a trillion billion 4-drops in the deck, so Notion Thief is fine for me. So it's your call. Plus the Flash, once again, it triggers your commanders. We are on the Clone Engine. Do not sleep on the Clone Engine. Run mana-efficient clones. Everyone's playing slow, grindy games. Get value off of your opponent's stuff. It's amazing. This deck folds to the Clone Engine if your opponents are on it. So that's rough. But fortunately, not everyone is on the mana-efficient Clone Engine. Originally introduced in Is It X decks to abuse Dockside, but as we phased out of Turbo Naws and everyone's running grindy value engines, the Clone Engine is the bee's knees. We have Phantasmal Image, Phyrexian Metamorph, Flesh Duplicate, and of course later we'll see we have the Imposter Mech. We're going to tech Wave Break Hippocamp in this deck. A little overly costed at 3. Probably wouldn't play if it was like 1 and 2 blue. But we're playing at instant speed. That's the name of the game for both commanders. And so, it's not too cloggy of a spell. I know people see Alela, they go, oh, fairy tribal, so the fairy could gold. You gotta swing in with the fairy. You just play at instant speed. You don't have to worry about like fucking fairy tribal. You're gonna make your fairies. You're gonna poke 1, 2, 3, and you're gonna go the fucking Winnie the Pooh secret layer deck, grizzly bear, dinosaur, robot. You know what I'm saying? So you don't need fairy tribal. So I don't like gimmicky cards. This not so gimmicky because if my commanders aren't around, this still functions like fine. It's kind of like half a commander. Actually, no, it's the juicy parts of the commander, right? So if I'm playing at instant speed, wave break gets a juicy value, and so it makes the cut for me. Let's look at our instants and sorceries. We'll start things off with the counters package. Nothing out of the normal, nothing out of the ordinary. We have an offer you can't refuse, Dispel, Swan Song, Flusterstorm, Delay, Mana Drain, which is like a nice ritual. And with these commanders, especially Nymris, that could matter. Then the free spells, we have Mental Misstep, Fierce Guardianship, Force of Negation, Mind Break Trap, Pact of Negation, and a Force of Will. Our removal package, we have a Chain of Vapor, Rapid Hybridization, Pongify, Resculpt, Fingerbang those pesky One Rings, Cyber Conversion, which is an amazing card. I don't know why more people are not playing it. The ability to just turn a really important commander into a 2/2 vanilla unblockable creature is a really good value. So Cyber Conversion, very strong card. Dismember, kind of free. Snuff Out, very free. Can't fingerbang Orcish Bowmaster though, but what can you do? Deadly Rollick. And so we have some board wipe type things. Toxic Deluge, March of Swirling Mists. The turn you're ready to maybe go for a Thoracle Consult. Maybe you see some Rule of Law type creatures on board. You don't see them as often, but whatever. There's still a lot of utility. You can use it offensively, defensively. A lot of versatility with the March of Swirling Mist to this day. Cyclonic Rift, Mists of Lorien, very juicy card. Could really devastate certain boards. We're on Yahine's Expertise because our commanders are kind of thick. Our creature count is kind of low, and so if we're really falling behind, Yahine's Expertise will definitely come in super duper clutch. Before we continue with the tutors package, let's see some other cards that you might want to slot into a deck like this. Maybe your opponents are, maybe if you're in Alela in a high power pod or a quote casual pod, you can consider some of the following. Sheoldred's Edict, a Slaughter Pact, Cut Down, Fatal Push, and like a Submerge. Instant speed, removal. Yeah, not much more I can say about that. Maybe you cut some of the counters for that instant speed removal. Anyway, let's continue with our tutors. We have a Mystical Tutor, Vampiric Tutor. I know there's better versions of the Mystical Tutor available. I just kind of like the Boomer art, especially when I'm in Esper. I have like the matching Boomer art. A Vampiric Tutor, Limdol's Vault, very strong card, especially when we're not in Naws. Imperial Seal, Demonic Tutor, Beseech the Mirror, really strong card. In this deck, there are a lot of things I can go for. I would probably go for the Beseech, the Mirror, go for a value piece, like a Rhystic Study or even an Necropotence. Not so much Wincon, because the only Wincon in this deck is the Thoracle. So I probably wouldn't even attempt a Thoracle Consult unless I have like 3 free counter spells in my hand. That's just how, that's my play style. I'm a very conservative player. It's like my one and only shot to win. So I would definitely sculpt a hand with like 2 to 3 free counter spells before I even attempt a Thoracle Consult. And so Beseech is still strong enough, even with all that said. Yeah, Talion, One Ring, Necropotence, all very, very strong targets. And a Praetor's Grasp. Just really quickly grab a win condition for your opponent. Maybe your Thoracle failed, so you try again with your opponent's Thoracle. Little things like that. Now, I don't think I can abuse the graveyard, even in like Nymris, who fills the graveyard, to snatch an opponent's Underworld Breach. It is an option, but whatever. You'll know what to get, and you'll know who to Praetor's Grasp when the time comes. It's a very, very good card. I stick with it. I know a lot of people in the cedh community are on Mnemonic Betrayal. I don't like Mnemonic Betrayal unless I am playing a Wheels deck. I can't really bank on my opponents having full graveyards, so Mnemonic Betrayal could just be like a dead card that does nothing. So if I'm in a Wheels deck and I'm guaranteed that my opponents have juicy graveyards that I can abuse, then I would play a Mnemonic Betrayal. But for now, everyone's just playing grindy value engines. If everyone was on Turbo Naws, then I would like, and even if I wasn't playing a Wheels deck, then I would run like Mnemonic Betrayal, but I don't like Mnemonic Betrayal as of current. But I do like Praetor's Grasp. Juicy, juicy card. And then the rest of our instants and sorceries, we have a Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual. We have a random Time Twister, just to keep in our back pocket. If we fall behind, we can refill or try to resculpt the hand really quickly. It's like a soft reset. Or if an opponent is on like a graveyard strategy, if they are on Underworld Breach, we could just cut that out. This is not a proxy. This is a foil inner sleeve. And then we're going to tech a Born Upon a Wind, because we are in a Necropotence that we could just special summon, spam onto the board. And so the idea is that you get a really, really large hand, and before the turn comes back to you, whether it's a Necropotence for like a lot, kind of like Zur does, and then at your end phase, just at your cleanup, just shit all that stuff onto the board, put you way ahead. Or if you're just way ahead of your opponents, like because a combination of like Mystic Remora, Rhystic Studies, Nymris drawing cards, the Hippocamp drawing cards, things like that, and you're so far ahead, and then you could just dump all these rocks and creatures onto the board before the turn comes back to you. So that's the idea behind a Born Upon a Wind. I have yet to actually pull that off, so it's a card that I keep my eye on and on how it performs. And so the best of the rest, we have our enchantments. We have Mystic Remora, Rhystic Study, Necropotence. I'm teching Mirror Maid right now. You can hit instant artifacts or enchantments, any artifact enchantment. And so if we're going to grind for value, then I'm going to try to like outgrind you. So I have 2 Rhystic Studies now. What's good? Oh, you got a Rhystic Study and I don't? Oh, now I do. We both have Rhystic Study. What's up? What's good with that? And so that's the idea behind the mirror. Oh, you have a One Ring? Oh, what's good? Now I have a One Ring until I get mine out. What's up with that? You all right? So that's the idea behind Mirror Raid. It came to me because we're all abusing clones, and the clone engine's going so well, and I'm like, you know what? Let's try the Mirror Maid. Our artifacts. We're on the Imposter Mech. Maybe I copy their dockside, right? And just shit my hand out, shit my commander out. You know, little things like that. And it happens more often than you think. Lightning Greaves, just another way to protect my commanders. Yeah, nothing too special about that. The One Ring, because it's just too good of a card to leave out. Remember before this card actually came out, and people, there was like that one dude on Reddit who was like, "Oh, the One Ring is the best card ever printed," and everyone's like shitting on him. They're like, "Nah, bro, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about." And I think he got like downvoted into oblivion. That was me. No, that was. but like I guess he had the last laugh because the One Ring should go into every single deck. So there is no Talisman of Witchclaw Talisman in this deck. I kind of hate that card. And Turbonaws is really good. In a deck where I only have one win con, it's mid. And so, not a fan. Let's look at our rocks. We'll start things off with our eggs. We have a lotus petal and a jewel of lotus. We have our Talisman of Dominance, our Arcane Signet, the OG Fell Warstone foil, Chromox, Mox Opal, Mox Diamond. Our colorless rocks, we have the Mana Vault, Soul Ring, and the Mana Crypt. Our lands, we have all 7 fetches, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our lands, because we're restricted, because of Tainted Pact, we have the island and the swamp, and the snow island, and the snow swamp. We have our shock and our duel. For utility, we have Atawada, Cephalid Coliseum. Cephalid Coliseum is scary for an opponent who's attempting like a Thoracle Console. Sometimes they fall for it. Not that they fall for it. Sometimes they don't even realize that the Cephalid is on board. The game's gotten to a point where like some of these lands have such utility that when you scan the board, you gotta like not only look for the enchantments and the artifacts and the creatures, you gotta look at the lands too. There's so many like crazy tech lands, I wasted a battle phase one time because I'm an idiot and I swung into like some dude with a fucking Maze of If. Remember Maze of If? Cabal Pit to fingerbang something, whatever. We're in Dimir. We're Tainted Pact. We don't have a lot of options. Menominal School of Water's Edge. Fantastic card. You can do a lot of mind games with this card. You could give your commander a pseudo-vigilance. You could kind of hide it behind other lands, like a scumbag, and then your opponent swings into you, and you're like, nah, fam, untap that creature, untap my commander. You died now. You died. But at the ceiling, we're doing really busted shit with the One Ring. Tapping it and then boom, untapping it and drawing 2 cards and then drawing 4 cards. So really, really good card. I would run it in decks with up to 3 colors. It's that good tech. Our other dual lands, we have a Morphic Pool, Underground River, and a Tainted Isle. We're gonna dump mana real fast with Ancient Tomb and a City of Traders. Again, not a proxy. I don't proxy. I don't care if my opponent's proxy. I don't. These are just foil inner sleeves. And then our Rainbow lands in a 2-color deck. We have Genstone Cavern, Command Tower, Plaza of Heroes. Again, some utility. Maybe I could protect my commander if I keep a billion mana open. Who knows, right? But it's there. It provides some utility for me. It's fine. I know Spire of Industry could have been my like 28th land. I kind of don't like Spire of Industry. I barely like Mox Opal because I could barely get Metalcraft online. Fucking Spire of Industry has like really like fucked me up on many occasions for me to like not want to play the card anymore. Exotic Orchard, Mana Confluence, and a 7th edition City of Brass. And there you have it, ladies and germs. Nymris and Alela, Cunning Conqueror. They are the exact same deck, but you would pick one over the other depending on your matchup. So be a scumbag, have both in the same deck box, have a 6-card sideboard with a bunch of spot removal, instant spot removal, or whatever. It'll be okay. I give it the seal of approval. I haven't run Nymris IRL that often, but I do fuck with Alela. I do swap Alela out, Italian out for Alela when I'm going into a lower powered pod in a blind meta where I know I'm going to get 1v3'd. So don't sleep on Alela. The goad is really, really good. In fact, goading is so good. If I were to run like a mid to high power deck, I would probably run like a Marisi, Breaker of Coil, and just goad the fuck out of everything. You know, just get everyone the fuck off my back. And I think that's the way to go. That's the way to goad. Got him. Anyway, thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.